Hello and welcome to a Champions edition of Courtside Fracas. I'm joined by three shameless Laker fans. I'll start with our guest Mina. How you doing, Mina?
Absolutely amazing.
I can tell, and
absolutely amazing.
And you've got your background all kitted up with your dedications to Kobe, and I think I can see a Lebron jersey back there as well.
One Lebron jersey, yeah. I've been waiting for this moment for 10 years, so I wasn't going to let it pass.
Yeah, no, we respect it. Harold, another shameless man. How you doing?
Hey, man. Look, man, I've had worse days, I can tell you that, man. Hey, now listen, on a real?
Who is that meant to be? That voice?
Honestly, I don't even know. I just made it up that time that we did the pod together, and it just stuck. I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to go with it. But nah, honestly, I couldn't be greater, bro. Obviously, you see the number 23, you know who it is. Come on, man, the real 23. Yeah.
Who's not fake 20? Don't start this.
It's the real 23. The real 23.
Okay.
Real 23.
Right, we're coming out hot, yeah? Before you guys continue, let me introduce Kay. Kay, how you doing, man?
Well, I feel fantastic, you know. The Lakers and the greatest, you know. Feels fantastic, you know, just champions elect and whatnot. It feels good to actually, you know, achieve actually than being announced pre-bubble champs and not actually winning anything other than, you know, redacted.
We'll get into that.
But no complaint.
Yeah, so for you and Mina, you guys are actually Lakers fans. So that means you guys have had a 10-year... Well, we'll get into that, Harold. You've had the actual 10-year wait since your last title. How sweet does it feel?
I feel too sweet. You know, I've had a lot of haircuts in 10 years, so lots has changed. But in 10 years, the Lakers hadn't for the majority. I had the fresh retwist, but here we are now. You know, hair's long. The Lakers are now champs after a long time waiting. So, you know, it feels good. You know, after a long 10 years, we've gone through Jordan Hill, Shannon Brown, Kendall Marshall, and numerous bums. But here we are.
Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart. I won't put Brandon Ingram in that. And
if you're not going to name the bums, you need to name the real bums. You're naming Shannon Brown. He won a ring with us. You can't be naming him.
Allow Shannon, man.
He was a video vixen for Monica, but still allow it.
This is it, man. He's barely 30 and he's in music videos now, so he's in the list.
Throw him in with the rest of them, yeah?
I mean, Robert Sacre, he's another one.
Lot of heart, though. Lot of hustle.
Real
this title is for all of them, man. All the years you guys suffered, man.
Those hard years we went through, man. It was tough. It was tough, man.
You weren't outside.
You really weren't outside, man. I mean, what does it mean to you? It's been a long time, and obviously you've got the Kobe jerseys in the background, so we can't help but think of Kobe at a time like this. So winning this title, what does it mean to you?
I'm not gonna lie, it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet to win it in the year that Kobe died. I think he died in January, so to win the championship this year is a nice achievement. It's a nice way to, I guess, send him off, if you want to put it like that. Like you lot said, it's been a long 10 years. It's been a long 10 years as a Lakers fan, and aside from Lakers, I support United, so it's been a long time for both my teams.
So do I. So
it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle. You know, forget even Robert Sacre, the Kendall Marshalls, and supporting Luol Deng just because he was from South London. We went through the Jordan Hills and the Jody Meeks and the Nick Young shooting a 3 and walking away and missing. It's been a struggle.
Legendary. Even the name sound trash, man. Not to mention the actual play on the court. And for you, Harold, obviously you're a Bron fan, which means you're not new to this. You're true to this, to winning. But obviously, you know the context of him having done it with the Lakers. You've made us all very aware of the doubters that he's had all season, etc., etc. So how does this title feel for you? How does this one stack up to all the others?
I think there is some stock in that, people saying that this is the easiest run to the title that he's had. But hey, I mean, we've had some difficult runs for titles in the past, so boy, I feel like this was needed after our 6 losses. But it's okay though. We're getting there. I think in terms of
so what's that 4-6 mafia now, yeah?
4-6 mafia now, yeah, we're out here. I think in terms of what he does for his legacy, I think it's an interesting one because He's now the first player to win 3 different Finals MVPs with 3 different teams. Obviously, I think if you guys remember at the start of the 18-19 season when he actually joined the Lakers, and people kept putting out these murals for him, and it kept being ruined. There's been talks like it was actually Skip Bayless who was behind those of the murals.
Undercover Skip.
Yeah. I wouldn't be that surprised, but it's just good. It's good to see that he's actually living up to his name and actually like fulfilling his promise they gave to the Laker Nation, to us, the Laker fans out here. It's to see. Yeah, man. It's what can I say? We're out here, man. All we do is win unless we lose.
Cool. So let's actually get into the game. So it was a 106-93 win over the Miami Heat. I think I remember on Sunday's podcast, I was like, either you're going to blow them out or it's going to be a close win. And yeah, you were pretty comfortable the whole way through. LeBron, 28, 14, and 10. AD, 19, 15, and 3. Contavious Caldwell-Pope chipped in with 17. Rondo had a big game, got 19. Danny Green made a few threes to make up for his transgressions from Game 5. Going into Game 6, oh right, my head's gone. Going into Game 6, how nervous were you guys after what happened in Game 5? Or for you guys, was it kind of like, listen, Thunder isn't going to strike twice?
Listen, our followers have heard already. I had my fresh retwist for that last game. My hair was tight. I had a headache, and we ended up losing that game. So I already came into this game thinking, if we lose this one, I'm never coming back on this pod again. So automatically, I was already stressed. But as soon as I saw us running the floor and the pace we were moving with, I was at peace. And then, honestly, we beat them like they stole something. And that scoreline doesn't really give us justice, because that's only a 13-point scoreline. At one point, we were up 30. And then LeBron was just catting for that triple-double. So we stayed in to the very end. So, yeah, I was a very nervous man until maybe 5 minutes in. And then I kind of like sat down and said, it's our time.
Absolutely flogged them in the first half. Mina, for you watching, obviously, in Game 5, Jimmy went toe-to-toe with LeBron. And it seemed like that was all he had left, and he had nothing left for Game 6. How satisfying was it watching your foes fall to the sword? And it wasn't even a tense match. It was pretty much just feet up, just waiting for the final buzzer to go. How was it?
You know what? I would have preferred, the basketball fan in me would have preferred a tighter game. But for me, it wasn't the offense that impressed me. For me, it was the defense. When I saw in the first quarter that Lakers were not fucking about, sorry, excuse my language. No,
that's allowed on you.
Okay, Lakers were not fucking about. When it came to defense in the first quarter, that's when I knew, all right, they're going for the championship tonight. I think Jimmy Butler, he gave everything and more in Game 5, and he just genuinely had nothing left in the tank. They brought in Goran Dragic, and he just looked like he was not in sync with everything that was going on. I don't think he should have came.
His leg still broke, man. That was
so why are you going to come
on the leg?
It's the desperation. That was desperation. When they saw that they were down by so much, why would they bring him in? They should have left him to sit out. I think Bam Adebayo, that everybody was hyping up. That everybody was hyping up.
Wow, Bam Adebayo. Wow. The Nigerian in me takes that personally.
Likewise. I can't lie to you, man. That hurts too.
Does it? Because I won over here. Hey, no skin off my back. We'll dap up after my Niger boy, but for now, sorry, you're in the way, bro.
He struggled with AD at the 5. They really struggled. So I think that was the best takeaway for me. Even though winning the championship was the best takeaway, but also the fact that they saved playing AD at 5. And AD hates playing at 5. Anyone that knows, that follows him knows that he hates playing at center. So they put him at center in Game 6, and he did what he had to do. So for me, his performance was a lot more, I will guess, what's the word? I preferred his performance a lot more than LeBron. LeBron was out there for the triple-double. He was there for, let me get my assists, let me get my rebounds. But AD, what he did does not show on the scoreboard. It doesn't show in his numbers. And I think that's what I enjoyed the most in Game 6.
I agree. I mean, he came into this with a lot of question marks over where he kind of ranked in terms of best players in the league. He started poorly against Portland, which Kay has reminded us multiple times across the weeks. But I think after that, he had stellar series against Portland, against Houston, against Denver, against the Heat as well. Like you say, Mina, on the defensive end, especially, was it game 3 or game 4 where he was on Jimmy? I think it was game 4.
Game 4.
Yeah, game 4.
Where he gave Jimmy nightmares, and I watched that game live. That was the one game I watched live, and the way he was able to just completely disrupt their whole offense. Finals MVP always tend to go to the highest scorer, but yeah, AD was fantastic this series. And you're right, he doesn't like playing the center. So for him to do that in game 6, just to shore things up for the chip, was nice to see. Harold, 4 finals MVPs, 4 titles. Hello, LeBron, Ramon, right? LeBron, Ramon James, I believe his middle name is, off the top of my head.
Is that his middle name? I actually don't know that.
I believe so. Okay. Off the top of my head, it's not the kind of information I keep to memory. But yeah, LeBron, Ramon James. That's your guy. Obviously, he's done it now. Let's talk legacy, because it's invariably going to come up. Let's talk legacy. He's compared to another bold man, another man that wears number 23, Michael Jordan. Where do you think this win puts him in terms of that conversation? Obviously, you have to look at the wider context of the bubble. For observers, they've very much been like, the bubbles, kind of the title's got an asterisk on it. But the players who've been in there, the coaches who've been in there have said the opposite. In fact, it's been tougher. The staying in isolation for 3 months, not having any interaction with your family and stuff has made it very difficult. But considering that, and obviously 4th title, 4th MVP, 3rd franchise he's done it with, what do you think this does for his legacy?
Okay, wait, before I talk about LeBron, I want to make a comment on the game itself. Playoff Rondo, man. The guy's ridiculous. I have to say, he looked like Jamal Murray in this bubble when he was going to the rim against the Heat.
I was with you for a sec.
Sorry?
I was with you for a sec, but
man, he was looking ridiculous. Like
you went a little bit.
I was with you for a sec, and then you just went that way.
On a real, I think he's like, because I remember speaking on him in the very first pod. And just his impact, I forgot of the kind of player he performs, the kind of player he transforms into in the playoffs. And he reminded me, I was like, oh, he's out with his hand injury, he got another injury. I can't remember what it was. I think it was his lower back, and he set him out for a little longer. He came through in all these series, and he's really helped to be the difference. So shout out Rondo. But to answer what you said about LeBron, so I think as far as legacy goes, as far as the best ever goes, I think people who are sober-minded, who actually rate LeBron and don't just go off this awful stigma that's around him of, oh, he's failed so many times, so he can never be the best. I think for those people who genuinely have respect for LeBron but still have MJ as their GOAT, I don't think it's moved it too far. But for the people, but for those same people, they are definitely like, okay, if it's MJ 1, it's LeBron 2. I think that's where it is in that regard, and you can't dispute that, because I think before this chip, a lot of people were disputing whether he was better than Kobe, whether he's better than Magic, whether he's better than Kareem. I don't know. Yeah, Kareem. Like, yeah, exactly. So like,
Kareem is disrespected, man.
Kareem is disrespected.
You need to start respecting him.
Yeah,
he's arguably number 2.
I agree.
Yeah, I say number 2.
Yeah, I think between him, MJ, and LeBron is kind of the argument for who your greatest is, to be fair. And I think obviously because those two are kind of wing players, and their game will be a bit more aesthetically pleasing in comparison to a 7-foot Kareem. You can see why he gets forgotten, but his accolades and his achievements stack up against anybody who's ever played the game, really. So I'll come to you, Kay and Mina, for that, as Kareem is a Lakers legend. I can understand why Harold forgot him. He's only been with a franchise. He's only been with a franchise for a couple of seasons.
I don't care about all of that, bruv. Let's talk about the king here. Man was talking about a guy who was out here doing hook shots. Forget what's all that about.
Listen, have some respect for heritage.
No, man. See, Morayo, you know what? A wise man once told me. He even goes by the name of Morayo as well. He said to me, "See the thing about the old days." The old days.
You know what?
Sounds like something I might say, yeah.
I hear it, because me personally, I'm all about the drip. That's why I love me some Westbrook, and I can't really stand a guy that was playing with them goggles on and them short shorts. So it's understandable. But at the same time, yeah, his CV is unapparelled. So if someone says he's number 2 to the older heads, I'm not really that mad. But in my generation anyway, I'll say LeBron is 2. But yeah, Kareem's CV, what's that? 5 titles, 2 Finals MVPs, 6 MVPs.
That's even. Hold on, let me reel it off for you. So
Who, Kareem?
Yeah, 6 titles.
Six titles, 6 MVPs. I think he's got the scoring
MVPs.
record for
2 Finals MVPs, 19 All Stars, 10 times All NBA first team, 5 times All Defensive first team, 5 times second team, 6 times defensive second team, Rookie of the Year, 2 times scoring champion. 1 year was rebounding champion, 4 times NBA blocks leader. His number 33 retired by the Bucks and retired by the Lakers. And just on top of that, he's the greatest college player of all time. So
and imagine all of that, and he's still not better than Bron. Scary, man.
Shameless. I didn't know I came onto the Shameless podcast.
Yeah.
Harold is shameless.
I apologize for his transgressions, Laker faithful, if you're tuning in today. But yeah, some of us can be a bit eccentric in our fandom of LeBron. But yeah, Kareem is arguably one of the greatest Lakers ever, one of the greatest players ever. And like you said, like, no one's really trying to see hook shots and post moves, man. They want to see the sexy stuff. They want to see crossovers and dunks and all the stuff that comes sweet with making jump shots. But yeah, we can't really knock Kareem. So for me, I'd say it's LeBron. But if someone told me, yeah, Kareem, and they're obviously knowledgeable to know and see him, I'm not mad at that.
How about you, Mina? Where does this title put LeBron in your kind of all-time rankings?
I think. All right, let me say this first. I've always been a Lakers fan first, player fan second. Yeah, 2010 me would have been confused if I was rooting for LeBron and Rondo on my team. Would have been confused. So
you're definitely somebody. If you lived in LA, you're painting the murals with paint.
I probably would have painted those murals over when he joined, because I was a very anti-LeBron person for pretty much most of his career until he joined the Lakers. Now with the whole
before you talk about his legacy, can you explain why? I never get why fans of a sport don't like a player who's so much to the sport.
I liked him in terms of his ability, but I hated the way that he came and individually dominated the league from when he joined. And at that time, Kobe was in his peak. Kobe was in his prime, and he was getting passed up for MVPs all the time. He kept getting passed up for MVPs because from when LeBron joined, you can say that he ran the league from 2003. There's no argument in that. And for me, it's like, why can you join?
Mina, sorry, I didn't hear that. What year did you say? What year? When? Sorry.
All right, 17 years ago. We get it. Wow, we get it. 17 years. He's been running the league. Running the league. And as a big, I was a huge Kobe fan, and I really hated it. People started comparing him to Kobe. Like, he was only in the league for 3, 4, 5 years. People were saying, "Oh, he's better than Kobe already." So that was why I didn't like him. Once he went to Cleveland, I started to enjoy him more. I enjoyed his time at Miami. I'm not gonna lie, but I enjoyed it more when he went to Cleveland, and he kept his word when he said, "I'm gonna bring a championship to Cleveland." And that's why when he joined the Lakers and he said, "I'm gonna bring a championship back to LA," I had no doubt he was gonna do it. There was no doubt in my mind.
I had doubts
because I knew
the man delivers. So obviously,
he's a man of his word. He's a man of his word.
Relationship was hated him at the first Cavs stint. It didn't mind him at Miami. Then when he came back to the Cavs and he beat the Warriors, who I'm pretty sure he didn't like either, then he was like, "Yeah, I can rock with you still."
It's like most females' relationship with men. When they're with another girl, they hate him. But then when he's there, they love him.
He's great. I respect most female integrity. She showed integrity on the Shameless podcast. Imagine that, Harold. Imagine that.
Mariah, going back to what you said about Chips having that asterisk this year, yeah. If we're being really shameless, we can do this every year, you know. Let's go back to 2015, you know. You got Deladova giving Curry nightmares because there's no Curry or love. 2016, you've got.
Didn't he make 40 million off that series?
I'm telling you. So and then you've got 2016. Draymond starts nut kicking, and all of a sudden the series changes. 2017, they cried for KD. Cool. 2018, repeat. 2019, KD goes down, Clay goes down. There's an asterisk on all these championships. It don't matter. Winners win. Yeah.
I agree.
The excuses later.
I agree. So for you, Mina, just to come back to you, in terms of his legacy, what does this title do?
I don't think he does. I don't think it does anything, because as far as I'm concerned, when you look at people's legacies and you look at, how many championships they've won, their individual accolades, most people will go off rings. And when you've got 4 to 6 ratio, I don't think it's ever going to look good. I don't think until his is 6 to 6, 6 wins, 6 losses, then maybe they can start saying, yeah, he's the greatest of all time. Because it's sad, because the reason why he's got those 6 losses in a final, it was out of his hands. It was early in his career with Cleveland.
Okay, interesting.
So I feel bad for saying that.
I want you. I'm glad you brought that up. Let's go beyond the surface and let's talk about his finals record in detail. Yeah, cool. So 2007, young LeBron takes an absolutely poor Cavaliers squad to the final against the Spurs. He doesn't play well. They get swept. Cool. 2011. I think this one.
That's only said.
I think that's the only one when you look at him, you can really be like, "Ooh, Bron, what happened there?" But he actually, I remember, and that's probably, and he said it like in hindsight. That first year in Miami was the only year he like played angry. Because remember, everybody turned. He was like the darling. Everybody loved LeBron. Then when he did, I'm taking my talents to South Beach. Everybody turned on them. Then not 4, not 5, not 6. Yeah. Everybody, they became like public enemy number 1. Everybody wanted them to lose, and I think that kind of overwhelmed him in the finals. And it almost was like he was shook. He was like literally shook. I still remember if it was game 3 or game 4. I think Dirk, because like Dirk would have these stretches in those games where they just couldn't stop him. Yeah. I think he was going on one of those stretches, and D-Wade like went to him and slapped his chest like, "Bro, like, what are you doing? Like, you're not being LeBron, man." Yeah. And nothing. He got nothing. So I think.
No, though. Right, sorry, just on that series, it was interesting because I did a little bit of research on that series, and I think it was a telling time in this LeBron's career as a whole. I think that was the same season where he made a joke about, was it Dirk's illness or something like that? And he went from there, and that was and it was really like below the belt. He made some really like immature.
It was in that series. I think there was a particular before one game he was like unwell all night or something, and they were talking about it.
And he said something untoward. I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was a very defining moment in his career, I felt, essentially. And that was even before Savannah. And like you could tell like he had some growing up to do. I feel like that loss was good for him just as a person, just in short. But yeah, anyway, you go on as you were saying.
Yeah, it's his fault that loss, I can't lie.
Yeah, for sure.
If LeBron played just to LeBron level, they win it. Yeah. I think he averaged like 17 points a game, which is ridiculous for LeBron.
He's rattled as well by the end if he's saying, "I'm going to wake up LeBron James. I'm basically better than you all." So
I remember that.
He said it.
I love that speech. He was like,
"I'm LeBron James."
Exactly. He was basically like, "I'm still rich. You're still poor."
He's so close to actually saying it, though. It took everything in him to be like, "You lot are broke. Like, I don't care.
I'm good. I'm gonna wake up LeBron James. I'm good.
You guys are still gonna wake up with the same lives you had today."
Like, you lot aren't. So you can keep talking about me, but I'll be back next year. But so I think I respected it when he went below the belt there, and obviously, like you said, most things he probably couldn't rectify, bar that one. And obviously, the one the Spurs. Okay, cool. Next one.
Yeah, so 2012, that was OKC. That was a young OKC squad. Dealt with them handily.
But that should have an asterisk. Then, if the bubble would have an asterisk, then that season should have an asterisk because they started it in December. Yeah. They started it in December.
66-game season.
That should have an asterisk.
Because of the lockout.
But it won't.
Well, like Kay said, all of these seasons could have an asterisk for one reason or another. So he beats OKC in 2012. 2013, they pull it out against the Spurs somehow, some way. Yeah. And then 2014, the Spurs won such a mission. I knew they were winning it that year because the way they lost it, you could tell that just drove them. And then that was their last push. And then after they were done. So then they lost it in 2014. Then 2015, Golden State with no Kyrie and no Kevin Love. Then 2016, he wins it against the odds again, come from 3-1 down, probably most historic achievement in basketball. 2017, they add KD, nothing he can do about it. 2018, KD again, nothing he can do about it. 2019, injured, and then he's won it again in 2020. So when you look at those 6 losses, Mina, apart from the one in 2011, how many of those are you really looking at LeBron and saying you did not do enough? You did not do enough. I think, how well could he have played against Golden State? 2015, 17, and 18, he was amazing from an individual standpoint. And the way we trumpet Jimmy Butler for the effort he put in, and nobody's looking at Jimmy Butler and being like, "Oh, well, you lost against a better team." His reputation has grown as a result. Maybe it's part of LeBron being LeBron and the standards he's held to.
Why isn't the same energy? That's what I want to know.
Jimmy's not the same level of guy. If we're being very honest with ourselves, as shameless as I am, they're not the same level of guy.
It's levels,
Jimmy's had two situations where he's been in Philly, been in Mini, and he's both been surrounded by unserious candidates, as some of my Nigerian parents would say. They're just surrounded by them. So he's been there and been the cancer or the bad guy in the locker room, when in reality, all he wanted to do was win and be surrounded with the right guys. He even said on JJ Reddick's podcast, after meeting with Brett Brown at the Philly, he was like, these guys ain't got a clue what's going on, so I got to get out. And Miami and the Heat culture, which Bron actually left for in the first place to try and win under Pat Riley and Spo, is the same reason that Jimmy ended up at the Heat as well. So his reputation is obviously very different, and he's always been the hard-nosed grinder, last pick in the draft. So his reputation could only go up. It was never going to go down because, one, he was overmatched, and two, after he did everything that he could, everyone's like, oh, wow, you can actually do more than we thought regardless. So, he was never going to go down. So the energy was never going to be the same, for being honest. And Bron also showers a lot more. So there's also that.
My case. So when we look at that and you give it that context, Mina, does that kind of change how you look at his 6 losses? Or for you, is it like, my man's got 6 losses, I don't care?
No, I don't, because I think a few of them is justifiable, is self-explanatory. But I think even in the sense of how he won his first 2 rings by leaving Cleveland, which he could have, I think he could have stayed, if he had stayed and I guess built the Cleveland that he did, that he came back to rebuild it, of course, in 2014-15 times. I think the argument might have been a bit different, but I think the LeBron James that we would have had now would have been completely different. So it kind of changes my perspective, but I won't let anyone disrespect.
He would be 1-9 if he was still like that.
I don't let anyone. I'm not gonna let anyone disrespect.
Listen, I'm all for like staying and building your team that you're from, but
it's not a well-run organization.
It
wasn't. So that's why I said that I understand why he left, and it kind of gave us the LeBron that we know now. The LeBron that we know now, or the LeBron that we've been knowing, wouldn't have been the same if he stayed in Cleveland. But one thing that I won't let is, for me, the only way that I can continue to run my Kobe is better than LeBron agenda is that Kobe's got more rings than him.
I see.
He beats Kobe in every other aspect.
Okay, hold on.
He beats Kobe in every other aspect when it comes to
let's talk on this.
So the only way that I can continue to run this agenda is by saying, oh, he needs to win 5 or 6 rings. He needs to win 5 or 6
rings. If that's the case, then that means MJ's not even the best. What's going on?
Let's talk on this, though, because what I will say is, every season you don't win a title is a season you fail, yeah?
Yeah.
So where's his credit? Where's his credit? Yeah. Okay, if you say on a championship caliber squad, every season you don't win a title is a season you failed, yeah?
Nah.
Where's his credit for getting to the finals 10 times?
So yes, are we going to credit people for losing? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Credit somebody for carrying a poor team to the
to
lose.
If we break it down to the core of what it is, there's 30 teams in the NBA and 1 ring. 99% of them men are losing regardless. But we don't call them losers because there's only 1 ring out of 30 teams. That's the first thing, And secondly, it's not like there's football, there's loads of other chips and whatever. You get like 60-win teams that aren't getting anywhere and not winning anything. But we won't call them losers because they ain't got a ring. So I think it just comes down from like the media narrative that has been created. Like, oh, if you don't get a ring, you're a loser. But if you look around the league, there's loads of top 10 players who've had 50-win seasons, great individual seasons, great team seasons, come to the playoffs, and everyone's like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter though.
But come on, people talk about great power forwards or just great big men, and Charles Barkley always comes up, but then people always say, oh, he ain't won a ring, so
that's their own fault.
I think that's the standard though. It's America. America is win or nothing.
Why are we
they call themselves world champions and they only play themselves though. So when it comes to logic, I'm not listening to these man.
No,
they're only playing themselves.
No one's rewarding people who don't win, because on TNT on ESPN, the way Chuck gets ruined by Shaq on a daily basis is not any sort of like accolades there whatsoever.
Who created that narrative though? Who created it? That narrative that if you don't win the ring, you're a loser.
It's the people that won the rings.
Nah, it wasn't them because it came from somewhere.
It's been there forever though. It was MJ had that same pressure.
And now the social media era has now come. Is now multiplied by 10. People think Charles Barkley's a bum because he's always joking with Shaq.
Like, he wasn't. Yeah, he don't get the respect he deserves.
Like a top 5 power. Yeah, you probably.
I want to know why. If Mina, look. So who's your GOAT, Mina?
Who's my GOAT?
Yeah.
It's between MJ and Kareem.
Why isn't it between MJ why isn't it between MJ, Kareem, and Bill Russell?
Because Bill Russell was shooting hoops when it was black and white on television.
So?
That's why.
So you won.
What do you mean? No, he said
Number two. For me,
black and white TV
Kareem is not my GOAT just because of his rings. It's because of his individual accolades as well.
Oh, okay, wait. So for Kareem is individual, but for Kobe is rings.
For Kobe, it's rings and individual accolades. It's just that Kobe, the only thing he's got on LeBron. Let me break it down to you. The only thing that Kobe has on LeBron is the rings. Because in individual accolades,
5-time MVP, right?
LeBron beats him.
Okay.
In individual accolades, LeBron beats him. Which is why I said I hated LeBron, because when he joined the league, he was running it consistently whilst Kobe was in his peak. Meaning he was taking all the individual accolades that Kobe was meant to sweep up during his prime. But he didn't.
But how can you say a player is better?
So I'm saying,
because he has one.
So now I'm saying I can continue running my agenda. Keyword agenda.
I respect that. Mina's
agenda.
being very honest.
Because I'm a shameless Kobe fan.
Yeah, she's been very honest.
I mean, look, from a shameless LeBron fan to a shameless Kobe fan, I get it. Look, I understand. But I have to ask you.
The battle of the stands.
Who do you honestly believe is better?
Who do I think? You know what? I think
the agenda. Stick to it.
For my agenda, I will always say Kobe.
Don't fold.
It's just my agenda. I will always say.
What your heart feels. Not your head. Not your heart. Your head.
And I feel like they were better in different aspects, but I'm always gonna say Kobe.
Oh,
you can hold the gun to my head, and I'm gonna say Kobe.
Gosh. Okay, say that.
Just a quick one, yeah. Because if we're using that thing of rings and stuff, like individual accolades, just a quick reminder, like even though Bill Russell was playing against milkmen and butchers and whatnot, allegedly, he still got 5 MVPs, and not many men have 5 MVPs in this league of basketball, if we're being very honest. And he used to lock up Wilt, who's arguably seen as a top 5, top 10 player all the time. So
did that era of basketball even happen? I mean,
it happened,
but did it actually happen?
We need to stop being so quick to disrespect the legends, because the game.
Okay, look, you know what? I have someone else. How about Robert Horry? He was playing like, I don't know.
Get out of here, Harold, man.
No.
He's doing his Lakers stuff.
No, it's all about rings. It's all about
Harold
rings.
is triggered that I said that I'll take Kobe because of rings.
No, I'm not even triggered. I'm not triggered. I'm just trying to.
You're slightly triggered still.
You are.
Okay. You know what? I take it back. I take it back, guys. My head is hot still. But anyway, so don't give me one rule.
Mina, fantastic work.
What's frustrating is there's one rule for Bron and one rule for everyone else. And even when it comes to the greats, so Kobe, MJ, whatever, it's another rule for them. Oh yeah, because MJ didn't lose in the finals, the first 6 years of his whole resume is completely wiped away. Wagwan. Like, it completely baffles me. But the fact that LeBron lost against Mavs, it's a big deal.
Let's talk about MJ, yeah? If you're talking about resumes, yeah, you're never going to win the battle with Michael Jordan. You're just not. His resume is like unimpeachable. Like, if you're talking strictly resumes, you're not going to beat Michael Jordan. The thing is, and I'm very cognizant to the fact, LeBron could be a better, or maybe is a better singular individual player than Michael Jordan at the game of basketball.
Correct.
But he could be. Maybe.
No. He is.
Maybe you could discuss it.
We can discuss it. We got the 6-time champion, cool, 6-time Finals MVP, 5-time.
Yeah, no, those are accolades.
Do you know no one's ever going to beat the 10-time scoring champion thing?
In terms of it, that's what I'm saying. In terms of
LeBron is so diverse, and I remember there was a stretch in where MJ was playing point guard and was averaging a triple double as well. Like he didn't have to do it, but he could clearly do it. But he decided to work within the triangle, obviously because he had Phil Jackson, no fault of his own. And no one's wiping off them.
That's another thing. I mean, he
had an all-time coach as well. In the way he won, he's also won Defensive Player of the Year. The way
LeBron's won titles with what, a sophomore.
LeBron is my guy, and this is a shameless Lakers pod, but LeBron's also chosen his own team for the last 10 years as well. For being honest, And every year, I remember we got an effing squad now. Remember that time? Because I do. With
Hey,
Jordan.
but look. When you're playing with man like Nance, when you're playing with man like
He chose that squad though. He chose it. We're not forgetting he chose it. He was campaigning for.
I would have loved to see LeBron playing with the Sacre and the Jody Meeks and the bums that we had.
He did that.
He came to LA and built his team. Every championship team that he's been on, he's built his team.
When he first got to Cleveland, he was playing with.
When he first got to Cleveland, yeah. But I'm saying every time he's won a championship, he's had a hand in building the team.
Yeah, charge that to the game. That's the game. I got no issue with that.
I think we can go around the houses on Bron, whatever, top 2, top 3, top 5, whatever. I want to shout out to AD because this is someone that Morayo didn't really have as his top 5 when we were getting into the bubble. But I wanted to ask, has that changed?
What did I say exactly?
Since
you're gonna quote me, you've been quoting me hella Morayo quotes today. What did I say?
Don't let me bring it out. Because look, you said
listen, bro.
You know what? He had a stinker of game 1 against Portland this year. And Morayo came out. He's like, "Oh, did you see AD?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, what do you guys think about?" Because Morayo always does this thing, yeah, where he asks a question, yeah, but he wants people to agree with him. So he asks a question.
I really don't.
You do. Yes, you do. You ask a question. You're like, "What do you guys think about AD?" And then someone will reply, yeah, and then they'll be like, "Oh no, I don't really have him as like my top big man or whatever." And you were like, "Oh yeah, to be honest, he's not even in my top 5. Like he never was, honestly." So that's why I came to you, and I'm like,
okay. I think when we were having that conversation, it was very difficult to put him into top 5. He had the ability and the skill set, but as we know, you have to be able to back it up with the hardware and the performances. So he came from average Pelican squad. I think maybe average is even being generous.
Yeah.
He came from a poor Pelican squad, which wasn't necessarily the best place for him to show those abilities. I think he had one classic playoff series. Who was it they beat? Was it Portland?
Portland, yep.
They beat Portland. But other than that, he really hadn't achieved very much in the league. This was now his kind of opportunity to solidify, because in the NBA regular season, that's absolutely fine. It's in the playoffs that you make your reputation. And you can see after this kind of playoff run, Giannis has come out of everybody's top 5 now, despite the fact he's a back-to-back MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. You got Jimmy Butler's now in people's top 10s, where he was probably in the 15 to 20 range. You have to justify it on the court, and then when you justify it on the court, agreed. People can't say anything else about you. So I think AD's done that now. He's got the hardware. He's played elite at both ends. He's won a chip. We move.
That was the one thing stopping him. Like when people were saying that Giannis was better, but it comes down to the accolades. Like Giannis was arguably performing more with less. That maybe AD was, even though Poole is in the Western East, he can make a case for situations and stuff. Everyone knows when it comes to basketball, especially, people's opinions change of you with a ring, and it really shouldn't. Because one of my friends made this point to me the other day. Like, Dwight Howard's a certified Hall of Famer, like first ballot.
Let's talk about Dwight. Ballot. Yeah, let's talk about Dwight.
I'm gonna kick off on Dwight. So before we get into how he played this season,
when we said let's talk about Dwight, Mina, did you screw your face there, or?
No, I had a love it.
Let me rap.
We'll talk about it.
Let me rap. So let me rap a little bit. Took it all the way back to his first time at LA. Hindsight's wonderful, but everyone knew he was clearly unfit, and it wasn't really going to work the way he was with Kobe at first, blah, blah, blah. And obviously everyone saw him back for what he was the year after he left. So clearly that's an anomaly, and maybe a bit in the wrong mental headspace, of course. He's bounced around a bit. He's come back on a non-guaranteed now, and he's kind of just said, cool, I'm a vet now, whatever, I'm going to do my job. But the way rings change people's opinions about stuff, you've got Dwight Howard, who's how many times Defensive Player of the Year? 3 times, is it? Yeah, 3 times Defensive Player of the Year. Insane CV. He's easily a first ballot Hall of Famer. But people are because of social media, they're talking about him like he's a bum. And all of a sudden, he's got this ring. Everyone's like, Dwight Howard, certified Hall of Famer, blah, blah, blah. When it was already cemented whether he got that ring or not.
It wasn't a conversation before the ring. It wasn't a conversation,
but he's got that ring now. Everyone's like, oh my God, yeah, Dwight Howard's this, he's that.
You come back to Americans and their obsession with winning. Winning defines everything. Winning covers all the cracks.
But like I said, they call themselves world champions and they're only playing themselves. So that's between them and themselves.
Yeah, it is funny, isn't it? They say that. Isn't it? They're like, oh yeah, the best player in the world. Be like, okay.
But fair play to Dwight. Like, of course, like he's at a different stage in his career now, and he filled in his role admirably because he was getting a reputation as a bit of a joker and not very serious in different situations. Had a bit of a renaissance period at Charlotte for a bit, but then that didn't last a while. Went to Washington, played well, whatever, and now ended up back with us. Like, I'm happy for him. He got a ring. and people are obviously actually giving him some respect because no one, obviously, I keep saying social media, but people have forgotten exactly what Dwight was. Dwight was the one that kicked LeBron out of the playoffs in the first
2009, yeah, when everyone thought we were going to get that Kobe versus LeBron.
Everyone thought Kobe versus LeBron, and Dwight was like, yeah, maybe not. So, you know what, yeah, I'm happy he's got his ring. He's got the respect he should have had in the first place. But it just shows, like, yeah, winning changes people's thoughts. Like with AD, the same thing with Dwight as well.
Sure, do you know what it is? I think it's just a timing thing. When I think it's just that we shouldn't underestimate the effect social media has on us. When he was playing well, social media wasn't popping like that. It wasn't. I mean, perhaps it was on our parents' Facebooks, but I mean, yeah, definitely not on the Twitter feed. I didn't think it was invented these times. He comes back now, and people forget like what he did and how he earned those 3 times defensive player of the years. I think he's 5-time first NBA as well, 8-time.
I got all the accolades right here.
8-time All-Star. Like,
it's not just his accolades though, because even if you watch like the playoffs, what he was doing the small things. He was getting people in foul trouble, which put Miami in a sticky situation.
But you know what? I think the reason why people have somewhat forgotten is because of it's the way he plays. Sometimes he can be
get washed quick in this league, man. People get washed quick.
Yeah, exactly. They do get washed quickly, but it's also the way the kind of player he is not really in fashion. Like a big man who can shoot.
The big man is it's out of fashion.
The big man who can shoot is what's really in fashion. Like, it's what's in trend. On top of that, the way he plays as well, he's a menace. Like, he's annoying. He's in your face. And unless you're Pat Bev, you don't really get rewarded with that.
Hey, he's calling you. He don't do nothing. He just running around looking.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but he gets under people's skin, and them kind of players don't really exist anymore. I'm sorry, but the league is. I would say, especially in the big men, you know,
the big men, definitely not.
Don't exist in the play. I was going to say the league is soft, but I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to go that far.
I get you. Obviously, there's players that get under your skin and whatnot, but I think you need to add some sort of production with that because you can't be there.
It does have that. Yeah, it's true.
Because you can stink regardless, and you just piss people off. That don't mean nothing. So
for me, though, what I will say is, I think I don't take stock in the fact that they win a chip. Well, I mean, I do for some people, but I think I take stock in how well a player plays. So like for me, players like a Jimmy Butler, players like a Jamal Murray, players like a Jokic, I always rated. But these guys, I'm looking at them, I'm like, yo, you're the real deal. Because at the best versus best, this is creme de la creme of basketball. This is everything it is. You've shown up and you played beyond your regular season ability. You've gone up in my ratings. If you can do it at the highest of heights, at the hardest of difficulty, then what's the regular season to you? I don't really care if you average 20 points. If I know you're going to come in the playoffs and be the difference maker in these tight series. If I know you're going to wash out the champions elect, the Clippers, like just like that, then you're going up in my ratings for me. Like if you're dropping 40-point triple doubles, being the only person to actually get a dub doing it, Jimmy Butler, you're going up in my ratings, kind of thing. So I think that I take stock in people actually playing well, playing beyond their ability in the playoffs.
Okay, Lakers fans, Kay and Mina. So,
hey, wait, you know what? Why did I host this pod? This is ridiculous.
Kay and Mina. So they're calling it your 17th chip. 5 of these chips came in Minneapolis. So is this your 12th chip or is this your 17th chip? Because let's say, for example, Seattle Supersonics had 2 titles. We wouldn't then be OKC saying OKC have 2 titles, would we? We'd say they have none. So can you guys explain to me this whole 12-17 thing? What's going on there?
You know, I'm sorry, I'm just going to say one thing, yeah. It's only an issue because it's the Lakers. If this was any other team, it would not be a problem. I don't think it would be a problem. It's because the Boston fans don't want
I don't know why it's come out now of all times, you know.
No,
guys.
Guys,
yeah, that's why it's an issue.
Guys. Come on. Just answer my question. Let's forget about
Arsenal. Listen, hear this. Listen, if you take it to another sport, Arsenal were based in Woolwich, but now they're not. So it happens, man.
Listen,
it makes no difference.
We're talking NBA. You move your franchise.
The same team.
Huh? You move
the same team. The same team.
I agree. It's the same team.
But you win. The first titles were won for the city of Minneapolis.
That's none of my business.
So I'm just asking you guys.
The city of Minneapolis, but it was the
Minneapolis Lakers.
Yeah.
So a Lakers championship.
Lakers championship. Yeah, those are the rules.
They could have won it in Africa. I'll still class it as the
Lakers. Lakers is Lakers.
You know what? I don't even know why I asked you to. Let me ask Harold.
He don't know enough about Minneapolis. He won't understand then.
Why would you come to me? Why would you come to me?
I want obviously these 17 chips mean they're separate from LeBron. LeBron won his chip with the Lakers, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
My thought is that is irrelevant to you. It has no impact on LeBron. Therefore, you can be impartial. So if a team wins 5 titles in one city, relocate. Yeah, they kept the name, but they've relocated. They're a new franchise. Yeah. Do you add both titles won in both locations, or is it just the 12-1 as the Los Angeles Lakers?
If you keep us, you'll take your stuff with you.
I mean, look, you keep saying that I'm this Bron connoisseur, which I am.
And I also mentioned something else. They keep calling Rondo the first player to win a chip with the Lakers and the Celtics. But there was a player who played for Minneapolis, who also then won a title with the Celtics. So if Rondo's the first player to win it as a Laker and Celtic, how can the Lakers also have 17 chips if they're...
Take that up with the analysts in America.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, I want to take
I'm not the one tweeting. You're bringing problems that ESPN created. I didn't make these problems. Like me, I know what I am, and I'm not a liar. So if these ESPN want to create narratives, it's like when they said someone ain't scored for like 4 years but for Messi. That's because you're not playing in 4 years. That's none of my business. That's none of my business, man. Like they can tweet what they want, all right? All I know is if you move house, you don't just leave your kids behind and not take them with you. Listen, those things are ours. And the only reason people are mad, is because we've matched the Celtics. The darling.
That is why. Also,
number 12, number 13, 14 with Kobe and Shaq. Nobody was saying, "Hey, what about Minneapolis, man?"
But you know what though? Also, on that analogy of moving house, sometimes you eat in at Nando's, but sometimes you order a takeaway. It's still Nando's, baby. Look, it doesn't matter where you take it. It's still Nando's. The Lakers can be in Minneapolis. The Lakers can be in my house. They're still the Lakers, baby. That's what
we are. What we are, and what we are is champions right now. So.
17. Also,
fine. I just wanted to check. You guys have made it clear for me. 17 chips. I won't ask again in it. I just wanted to make that
clear. Just so you're aware.
And on a more somber note, just because his name's come up so much, let's talk about Kobe a bit. Obviously, Game 5, they changed to the Mamba jerseys. Like I said on Sunday's pod, that never did quite sit well with me because it kind of made a theatre and a show of it, and obviously up until then they hadn't lost, but knowing the Heat, I always had a feeling they would probably win that game, and probably seeing them change to the Mamba jerseys was even more of an incentive. But now they've won. He died in January, which it feels like it was 2-3 years ago at this point, but everybody kind of mentioned him in their speech. What does it mean to you guys in terms of his legacy that they were able to win it this year? Doesn't mean anything. How do you feel about how much his name is mentioned? Is it good? Is it bad? Yeah, I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts.
See, I'm in two minds. So at first, it does get a bit like a caricature that his name is mentioned so much. Like, obviously, it's very sad that he passed, of course, and he is very much what Laker basketball is, of course. But of course, people are always going to capitalize a bit. Like, stories are always going to start with, oh, this is Kobe's year, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Which at one half of it, that is. But at the same time, like AD and stuff was saying before all this happened, before obviously he sadly passed, he was always at the games, speaking to AD and LeBron, telling them, this is your time, this is your year, speaking to Genie and everyone, just letting them know, like, don't worry, guys, you've got this year. So obviously to come full circle and actually win it all, and him not being there, obviously it's not bittersweet, but it does feel very surreal because he was very much epitomized through this team. It was like hard work by any means necessary. We're going to win. We're built different, as LeBron would say, and that was seen throughout the year. So obviously it's great that we've won, and I'm sure the Lakers will probably do something with his family as well because it does mean a lot to them, and he was just such a massive part. But half of me also feels like it happened, we're aware, but it shouldn't be the first thing always mentioned because at the end of the day, it does somehow take the shine of what the players there actually did. And to create this media narrative and storm like, oh my God, they did this for Kobe. Like, let's be honest, they did this for themselves. And unfortunately, Kobe passed. So that's obviously extra, starting to spurn them on a bit more. But at the same time, like, this was going to happen with him or without him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you know what? But before I let Mina have the last word, fittingly, I just wanted to say that I do want to mention the fact that they did use the black jerseys. I think the intention there was of a pure one. The actual application of it, perhaps slightly less. I think it did make it look more of like a song and dance, and it did undermine the Miami Heat, even with AD's like gold trainers that he was wearing. I think it was Jordan 3.
Red and white the next game.
I swear they were Kobe's.
They were Kobe's.
Were they Kobe's? Oh,
They were
okay.
Kobe's.
Sorry. So yeah, he was wearing some gold crepes basically, and it looked more of like a celebration before the game had even like been won, kind of thing. I think that was a bit distasteful if you're a Miami Heat player or fan. But just I think it can come across as like a caricature, as Kay was saying, only because of the number of new media outlets we have. So after game 2, AD came out, was walking towards the dressing room and was like, job's not done, or job's not finished. Obviously referencing Kobe's interview. And I think that can look a bit like, okay, guys, like this is a bit much, like you're overdoing it. But I think we are plagued with so many outlets that show us so many clips. It's a bit like it's never ending. I do feel like there is a genuine sense of pride in them competing for Kobe Bryant. I do genuinely feel like they feel that weight, especially the two big players in the team plus the coaching staff. I genuinely feel like they're like, you know what, okay, this actually was for you, despite how everyone else feels. But I think ultimately it comes down to how much of a cynic you are in general. I would like to assume it would be incredibly tough for me to accept that people are just doing this just for the sake of it and just to somehow show that, make it come across as like a song and dance. I like to think it's genuinely pure, because even people who don't know much about basketball, like my mum, she messaged me about his passing. So it shows like the kind of effect they had over the entire world, even outside of basketball.
And yeah, I'd like you to have the final word, Mina, with the Kobe jerseys in the background. Obviously, he means a lot to you.
Yeah, no, I'm. Oh man, I remember the day that he died. I was out. I remember with my friends, and my sister called me, and we had a running joke in my house that Kobe was my dad, because I used to talk about him nonstop, and I was the only NBA fan in my house. And my sister called me and said, "Did your dad die?" And I genuinely thought she was talking about my real dad, and I was like, "Did our dad die?" And she was like, "No, I checked the news." So as soon as I did that, I remember opening Twitter, because to me, Twitter is my news. And I just saw TMZ, and I was like, "Nah, this is not real." And then people started calling me as if my friend had died, saying, "Oh, Mina, are you all right? Like, are you okay?" People were actually checking in on me. And I think with the whole, what Harold said about having a lot of media outlets that are kind of showing us the same thing over and over again, we might feel like it was a song and dance, but I generally don't think that there's a better way to end the season than in tribute of what the Lakers have established in terms of, because you have to see it, AD, LeBron, when they were playing in Staples Center before the bubble, they're looking up and seeing those two jerseys in the rafters. What better way to pay tribute to those two jerseys and all the other jerseys that have come before that are retired than to put a banner up there next to it? So and bear in mind, you know, Anthony Davis, he had a close relationship with Kobe Bryant. LeBron James had a closer relationship. A lot of the people in the team grew up watching Kobe in the league. So I don't think it's...
He was a guy. He was for a lot of people. He was their Jordan.
He was their Jordan. So it's not far-fetched to say that they did it for Kobe. I think they did it in memory of Kobe because of everything that Kobe stood for and everything that kind of Kobe left out on the court. He left his heart and everything when he played in the court. But I also think that they also did it for themselves. I think that they had something to prove. LeBron had something to prove, as much as some people don't want to say it, but I think he had something to prove. Coming to LA, you know, missing the playoffs last season, promising a championship. But I personally don't think that there was a better way for them to finish the season, not just winning the championship, but winning it in honor of Kobe in the season that he died. I generally don't think that there's no better love story to me than that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody needs to add anything more to that. You couldn't have really put it any better than that, Mina. So thank you. Hear the emotion in your voice as well. Means a lot. Kobe was my guy, man. I remember staying up when I still had the energy to watch his series against the Celtics, all three of them. So yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from. So it wasn't quite a shameful podcast, actually. You guys had some decorum. I think it was Mina and Kay that kept Harold grounded, really, because they've had to grind. They've had to grind for this title. They've seen a lot. Harold,
I'm speaking French.
Harold, you're just running around winning titles left, right, and center. So, final question.
Harold is the British Shannon Sharp, I swear. He's the British Shannon Sharp.
Basically,
That is a great pod title. Thank you very much, Reno.
all you need is a glass of hot.
Don't worry, guys. Listen, it's coming. Cigars, a baby goat, everything's coming. Don't you worry.
To quote Carl Kuzma, I'm just so drunk right now. I don't even know how to act.
All-time great quote.
That is an all-time great
a lot
quote,
of champagne,
man.
but I had 2 glasses.
Yeah, that's some great stories in that Laker roster. So final question for each of you. 2 more years left on LeBron's contract. Do you win another title?
Repeat.
Yes or no?
Repeat. Come on.
Mina, yes or no? Do you win another title? Kay, yes or no?
Yes.
Harold, yes or no?
Know the vibes, man. Come on, man. Of course we are.
Listen, you couldn't bet against him, especially if they're able to make a couple of improvements on some players in the roster. And as we've already been talking about the off season, definitely think that LA will be a spot for players to go to, because you know that if you have LeBron, chances are you're going to the finals and you've got an opportunity to win it all. So can't wait for next season, to be honest, but we'll have more on that over the next few weeks. I want to thank all 3 of you for your time this evening, and go Minneapolis Lakers.
Wow, unbelievable. Haters gonna hate.